Give me a quick where we started to where we are now.
Okay, so in 2008, like I said, we started our first Royal Family Kids Camp. We had 28 kids, 6 to 12-year-olds. We take them for a week of camp and we do normal camp activities, fishing, hiking, swimming, all of those things you think about when you went to camp when you were a kid. But we also do activities tailored just for them. So we do a princess ball for our girls. So they get all dressed up in their beautiful gowns and they, walk the runway and they have a chocolate fountain and we've had limo before. We just make them feel special because they should feel special. And the boys, we've done anything from, like karate to superhero night, which is what we're doing this next year. And things like that. We celebrate their birthdays because many times these kids have never had their birthday recognized, much less celebrated. So we do it upright and have gifts, presents, and we make them feel special again, which is just so important. And we give them mail throughout the week. We have camp therapists that are on hand in case there are triggers, things like that, which can happen. We have a 2-to-1 ratio of big campers, which is, we call them big campers, not counselors, because it's not their job to counsel. It's their kid. It's their job to just be there and hang out and have fun with the kids. So that's our Royal Family Kids Camp. I'll tell you that very first year, 2008, was probably the hardest thing I have ever done. And I've been in ministry for a long time now. And at First Baptist was like, programming is like huge. So we did camps for like hundreds of kids, programming for hundreds of kids. So I thought, a camp for 28 kids, what's, nothing, right? So when you're working with kids that are in the system, it's a whole different dynamic, a whole different world. So anyways, it was the most difficult, but the most rewarding and incredible week of my life. So that was 2008, 28 kids.
What made it so difficult?
There's a lot of red tape when you're working with the system. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. The training is pretty intense. So our volunteers go through about 12 hours of training, an intense interview process. You really have to have really high standards, or we have high standards with those who work with our kids. So you're just dealing with a different set of circumstances. So these kids that come in to our camps just are dealing with a lot of junk. And so, for example, that very first year, we were told to not have anything with tomato sauce because we have a young lady who would get triggered because of something that's happened to her in the past. So we were trying to be really careful. No red sauce, no spaghetti, no nothing. Well, somehow it kind of got through. We ended up having a meal that had red. She shut down for a day. I mean, literally would not communicate at all. So our therapist had to work with her and try to kind of get her past that and redirect and all of that. And we did, and it ended up being an incredible rest of the week for her. But it's those types of things that you have to take into consideration and prepare for with these kids. And those are things that we didn't know going into that first year, right? I mean, it's just trial and error. We were all brand new. Nobody had ever worked with these kids, this population before. I was the only one who had been trained. Me and 2 others had been trained. And then we trained the others. So they had been trained, but they had never actually worked with the kids, which is a very different thing. Training and then actually working with these kids. And you have to understand the kids come in with a lot of trust issues. So there's a lot of walls that they have built up, understandably. So you have to be patient and work with them because of those walls that have been built up. So throughout the years, we've added different staff. So and everybody's a volunteer that goes and serves at camp. But we have therapy dogs. We have multiple camp therapists. We have nurses like you wouldn't believe. So because they have meds, they have serious some psychotropic meds. They have pages of medications. So it's just a different world.